Hi, happy Friday. I'm late publishing this because I had a Zoom uh, reunion with some wonderful people down at the Evergreen College. Um, we we gathered more than a few times, and it was nice to see all those faces, hear their voices, and feel like feel a unity, fills my heart. It made me feel sad because I didn't know that much about Zoom, and so um, I didn't really know if I got all out of it. I could have, because that was like my second time I ever did Zoom. And anyway, it was wonderful though, seeing everybody. Anyway, I've got a bit of a owie. I so I didn't really want to touch my work the last while. Um, it's not. It's okay now. So I think I'll demonstrate. I've got these little filaments of copper that I'm putting within the copper shape, and I'll just do that, and then I'll continue with the 3-strand braids. Because the copper is not the easiest thing to handle, I'll start on the side I'm used to, that I like to start on. So I'll start from the left and I'll weave to the right. Okay. So yeah, it was kind of emotional because I wanted to share more. I wanted to hear more. Um, but there was quite a lot of people that were there at that Zoom reunion, and so they split people up into different groups. So I got to see my friend Jan Hopkins, and I missed my cousin Lisa. I thought that she would be there because gone to um, she's gone to the gatherings that I have gone to, and we've hung out together during those gatherings, and so I was surprised she wasn't there, but so I missed her. But I got to see Tina and Sandy and June from down under. Maori artists. It was a gathering of Pacific artists, people from all around the Pacific Rim. So there was quite a lot of people from New Zealand. Um, I went there after my first gathering in the Evergreen. I went in 2004, I believe. It was the spring of 2004. I went down there and got to see people that I had met up in the Evergreen. And it was wonderful to share. They were having an opening of a weaving exhibit in Wellington, well, north of Wellington, and my sister and I, Holly Churchill, and I went down, as well as Tom, my husband, and we had a great time down there. Got to see the people that we saw before, Gary and Darcy Nicholson, and it was good to see Gary today, and I guess his birthday is coming up, so we got to sing him a happy birthday. So I just want to make sure that I've stopped it right where I should, and I need to go one more. No, I am where I need to be. So there's that. And then I have one more white 3 strand that I need to put on. These yarns are so fine. They're nice and strong, but I still don't need a scissor. I can pull them apart. My mother, when she was a young person, her and her family went over to Prince Rupert, British Columbia, because my grandmother worked in the canneries when her kids were small, and so they went over to the mainland to work in the canneries. Anyway, she remembers somebody selling skeins of spun weft, so she's like remembers the tail end of when these mountain goat wefts were trade items. So, and you could imagine like such fine yarn. They created fine yarn from the fine wool of the mountain goat, and it's just amazing when you go into the museums and you see that fine material in the fine old robes, and you realize there's no factory producing these yarns. They were handmade, hand spun, and on either the thigh or a spindle, drop spindle, probably. So they say that these robes, even in the old days, of course, would take just as long as it takes for us. I think that this was a specialty craft, though, a specialty art, that you earned the right to weave these robes. First, you're born into the right family to be able to weave the robes. And then you also, I imagine, would have to show that you're skilled enough to move up into being a chief's robe weaver. And because it's almost like a transformation, you're taking the wool from the animal, from the goat, and then spinning it, and then forming it into designs. And the intense concentration that those Nahin robes require, that makes me think that it was a specialty, and that the spinners were specialty skills too, because I, for one, know that if I can buy my material, my warp even, I know how to spin, and I teach spinning, but I'm not the best spinner. I can admit that, because I don't do it as often as many people do. And the thing is that I'm so anxious to get to weaving that if I can find a warp to buy, then I do. And but when I unveil my robes, I always require that the collector allow it to be brought out in ceremony, and that the robe be danced. And so when at those events, a weaver has got to acknowledge everybody who had anything to do with your robe. And if you bought the spun warp from someone, it's really important to acknowledge who spun your warp. like I say, when you're unveiling your weaving, um, it takes so long. It's and 2.5 years for a Naheen and about a year for a Raven's Tail, and you put a lot of heart into your work, and it just you pretty much you do want ceremony. You want to acknowledge that this is leaving your hands, and that you put a lot into it, and you care about it, and you care about where it's gonna go, and it's just it's pretty emotional, and so anyway, no matter if it's a chief or um, a person who is going to dance it, or a person who is going to have it on their wall or in a box, no matter what, you want it to dance at least once. And so I always require that the collector have a ceremony for it, and that we can dance it. So anyway, this is kind of a short video because like I said, I cut myself, and then I had that Zoom meeting, and I've been working on another project with my movie maker, so that kept me busy. I had to stay up late last night doing some things. Oh, I'd like to mention that my daughter, Tiffany Amber Vanderhoop, Huckleberry Woman, does these earrings. If you've noticed them and you're admiring them, huckleberrywoman.com. She's represented by B. Yellowtail, which I guess is a pretty prestigious person to be sponsoring her and putting the earrings on her site and all. So anyway, my daughter is very talented, Tiffany. Anyway, and so is my Carrie, very talented. Carrie Ann weaves. Both of them are weavers, and I'm very proud of that. And it was, well, I teach a lot, and so it really was wonderful that my daughters went in and learned from me, and are continuing to weave and do other art. So Tiffany Amber Vanderhoop and Carrie Ann Vanderhoop are going to follow in my footsteps, or they are, and Carrie Ann does a lot of assisting me often. The other day when I had to take these things out and redo them, she came and for a couple hours to help me take out, because taking out is it's so discouraging when you take out. It's a lot of time taking it, as long as weaving it in. So anyway, on Monday we should have all the tops filled in like I did here, right here, and then we'll get to turning the corners into the side of the shield. So thank you very much for joining me today, and I sure hope you have a good weekend. How well.